I want to talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So everybody was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no thing as karma, okay? Get over that.
Political debates have increasingly become battlegrounds where logic and reason clash with unwavering ideologies. Recently, Bill Maher took center stage, challenging Whoopi Goldberg's arguments with his trademark wit and directness. This wasn't just another celebrity confrontation. It was a stark reminder of what happens when deeply held narratives begin to unravel under scrutiny.
Understand that part of our sorry racial history in this country is that the point of view from a black person is often going to be very different and sometimes shocking.
Bill Maher has built his reputation on challenging both sides of the political spectrum. But his recent exchange with Whoopi Goldberg took things to a new level. As Whoopi relied on the familiar progressive rhetoric often heard on The View, Maher countered with hard facts, exposing contradictions that left her on the defensive. The debate highlighted just how disconnected elite liberal perspectives have become from the real-life struggles of everyday Americans.
You know, I watch your show all the time, so I know that you're a comic, but you basically go after Trump and Biden, you know, both of them. And a lot of people are not happy with you about that. I'm
not equally.
Well, not equally, because you know that Trump is more dangerous.
Of course. I mean, I don't think anybody was more out front on that danger than I.
Before diving into the debate, it's essential to understand the key players. Whoopi Goldberg, a staunch advocate of liberal policies, often dismisses criticism of the left as mere right-wing propaganda. In contrast, Bill Maher isn't a conservative. He's a traditional liberal who resists ideological rigidity. This fundamental difference set the stage for a compelling and thought-provoking exchange.
I was talking about how he was never going to give up power long ago when everybody was laughing at me and said, you smoke too much pot. And I said, I smoke just the right amount of pot. Because plainly, I was using the term slow-moving coup before he was elected the first time.
That's right.
I said, this guy is never going to concede power. It's impossible to imagine him going, oh, I lost.
The confrontation began when Whoopi Goldberg downplayed concerns about crime, the economy, and the struggles of working-class Americans. Bill Maher swiftly pushed back, emphasizing that issues like inflation and public safety have a tangible impact on people's lives, far more than symbolic activism. Instead of directly addressing his points, Whoopi deflected with a vague response that skirted the core issues. Maher pressed on, exposing how she relied on outdated economic talking points that felt increasingly detached from the realities everyday people face.
Saying anything against Biden because I feel, not that I have so much power, and you have some more than I do, obviously, but...
Oh, I don't know about that.
Are you afraid that you might, influence people who are on the fence?
I think you lose all credibility.
Maher never lets a weak argument slide, and he wasted no time exposing a key contradiction in Whoopi's stance. He pointed out that progressive elites, especially white liberals, often claim to champion marginalized communities while ignoring the issues those communities actually prioritize. Polls consistently show that Black and Hispanic voters care more about economic stability and crime than ideological debates unfolding on social media. Whoopi's refusal to acknowledge this disconnect only highlighted the weaknesses in her argument. My bond with my audience has always been that I don't pull punches, Maher stated. You're not going to like everything I say, but you know I'm saying what I truly believe. The conversation took a pivotal turn when Maher shifted the focus to political hypocrisy. He brought up the controversies surrounding Hunter Biden, calling out Democrats for preaching accountability yet going silent when one of their own is at the center of a scandal. Whoopi, clearly uncomfortable, attempted to downplay Biden's actions, insisting they were being exaggerated. But Maher wasn't about to let her off the hook so easily. Biden just presents as old. It's not really fair, right? He said. Because he's almost the same age as Trump. But Trump doesn't present that way. You look at someone, and right away you can sum them up. We're not young, but we don't present as old. Biden does. I saw him yesterday giving that speech, and I'm sorry, he looks cadaver-like. His brain is still sharp, but visually it's a problem. Maher then reminded the audience of Biden's own words, asserting that no one is above the law, just before granting a pardon to his own son. This glaring double standard, Maher argued, is precisely why so many Americans feel disillusioned with the political system. If accountability only applies selectively, then trust in leadership erodes. When it's convenient, the rules cease to exist at all. Whoopi's defense crumbled under the weight of Maher's logic. A conservative once told me, "What you liberals don't understand about Trump is that we don't like him either. But in this country, it's binary. Gender may not be binary, but politics is. We only get two choices." And for a lot of people, Trump is a bulwark against the things they fear. As the debate intensified, Maher turned his attention to the media's role in shaping public perception. He criticized mainstream outlets for suppressing the Hunter Biden story before the election, accusing them of prioritizing narrative control over journalistic integrity. Rather than engaging with the evidence, Whoopi dismissed his argument as just another right-wing conspiracy theory. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were afraid it could cost Biden the presidency, Maher argued. They figured, we'll tell them after the election. Armed with facts, he reminded Whoopi that even left-leaning journalists had admitted the story was deliberately suppressed for political reasons. This, he argued, is the real danger of woke ideology. It's not. Maher then shifted to a broader criticism of progressive politics, comparing Biden's reluctance to step down to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's decision to remain on the Supreme Court despite declining health. Obama hinted at it back in 2013, suggesting she should retire and spend more time with her grandkids, but she didn't take the hint, and it cost her legacy. Now the Supreme Court has a solid conservative majority. Biden shouldn't make the same mistake, but let's be real. His ego won't let him step aside. He's like Dracula. He's crossed oceans of time to be here, and he's not giving it up now. The conversation then took an even deeper turn, as Maher criticized the progressive movement for fostering an environment where questioning their beliefs is seen as an act of hostility. He pointed out that working-class Americans, the very people progressives claim to represent, aren't buying into the extreme narratives pushed by media elites. Instead of addressing these realities, Whoopi continued dismissing legitimate concerns as right-wing rhetoric. Maher then examined the shifting political landscape, explaining how the Democratic Party's sharp leftward turn has alienated key voter demographics, particularly Black and Hispanic Americans. Polls show these communities are more patriotic, more supportive of law enforcement, and less tolerant of unchecked illegal immigration than white progressives, he noted. Yet Democrats keep catering to elite activists rather than listening to real concerns. And these issues hit close to home. Parents see their kids coming back from school, being taught things they're not even allowed to question. That's not progress. That's indoctrination. Political debates have become a battleground where ideology often overshadows reality, and Bill Maher's exchange with Whoopi Goldberg was a prime example. As the discussion unfolded, Maher highlighted how progressive policies, particularly in education, increasingly prioritize the perspectives of children over their parents. His latest book, he admitted, contains ideas that will resonate with both sides and others that some might find uncomfortable. But that, he argued, is precisely the point. Honest discussions should challenge assumptions. Throughout the debate, Whoopi struggled to defend her positions when confronted with Maher's fact-based arguments. Rather than addressing the issues directly, she resorted to vague talking points, emotional appeals, and outright deflection, a pattern common among figures within the woke movement, where ideological commitment often takes precedence over objective reality. A defining moment came when Maher pressed Whoopi on the concerns of Black and Hispanic Americans. Instead of acknowledging that these communities prioritize economic stability and public safety over progressive activism, Whoopi attempted to shift the conversation to unrelated topics. This highlighted a core weakness in woke politics: the inability to confront inconvenient truths when ideological narratives are challenged. Figures like Whoopi often rely on changing the subject rather than engaging in substantive debate. She pushed back on Maher's use of the term woke, arguing that conservatives had co-opted and weaponized it. "I was surprised to hear you use that word," she said. Historically, woke was a term used by the black community to mean being aware of social injustices. But Maher wasn't buying it.